Aaron Blake's boots crunched against the dry gravel as he dragged the old wooden wagon farther down the deserted roadside of rural Missouri. The summer sun beat down without mercy, and the rickety wheels moaned over every bump. Inside the wagon lay two tiny bundles, Lily and Jasper, his newborn twins. Both were red-faced, squirming, and hungry. Aaron, 36, had been a carpenter once, then a husband. Now a widower and a father barely holding it together. Since his wife, Sarah, died of flu 3 weeks ago, everything had fallen apart. He sold their home, pawned his tools, and headed west with only a few coins and 2 babies who cried through the night. His shirt was soaked with sweat, and his cracked hands trembled as he checked on them. They needed food, milk, something. He whispered, "It's okay, babies. I'll find help," though he had no idea how. There wasn't a soul in sight. He finally spotted an abandoned barn and steered the wagon toward its shade. As the babies wailed louder, Aaron stepped away to search for clean water nearby, maybe a stream or even rain pooled in the rocks. He didn't go far, just behind the barn. When he returned barely 5 minutes later, he froze at the sight before him. A young woman no older than 25 was in his wagon, sitting cross-legged. She wore a dusty green dress, her long auburn hair tied in a loose braid. One of the babies, Lily, rested in her arms, feeding calmly from a glass bottle. Jasper was already asleep beside her. The woman looked up, startled but not afraid. "I heard them crying," she said softly. "I had milk with me." Her voice was calm, her eyes kind. "Who are you?" Aaron asked. "Mara," she replied. "I was walking the road, saw the wagon, and She hesitated. "I couldn't leave them crying like that." Aaron stepped closer, unsure whether to be thankful or worried. Strangers didn't just appear out here. Yet, there she was feeding his baby with the gentleness of a mother. He noticed her hands, calloused but clean. "You had a bottle?" he asked. "Do you have a child?" Mara didn't answer directly. "I had some supplies. I was supposed to care for someone else's child. Plans changed." Her eyes darkened. Aaron didn't press. "Well, thank you," he said awkwardly. I didn't know what to do anymore." She offered him a tired smile. "They're beautiful." That evening, he shared half a potato and a can of beans with her. She sat at a distance, careful not to overstay. But the way she glanced at the babies told Aaron she'd once dreamed of her own. He didn't ask. Not yet. She looked like she was running from something and carrying stories, even heavier than the satchel slung over her shoulder. Night fell gently, the breeze cooling the hot wagon wood. Mara helped him wrap the twins in soft towels. "They need clean blankets," she murmured. "And real milk." Aaron nodded. "I've got a few dollars. I was hoping to make it to Orland County." "That's still 30 miles, she said. "No horse?" "Sold it," he said plainly. "Everything's gone." She looked at him a long moment. "You love their mother?" He nodded, but didn't speak. The weight in his silence was enough. She helped tuck the babies in and then curled into the corner of the wagon floor, using her satchel as a pillow. Aaron sat outside by the dying fire, watching the stars blink overhead. A woman appears out of nowhere, feeds his children, asks nothing in return. It felt like grace or a trick. Still, his heart rested for the first time in days. He didn't understand it yet, but something about her felt safe. Just as dawn stretched its pale arms across the horizon, the peace shattered. Tires screeched in the distance. A truck, fast. Mara sat up immediately, eyes wide. "No, not yet," she whispered. Aaron stood and stepped forward as a sleek black pickup tore down the dirt road, stopping just feet from the wagon. Dust clouds rose as the door slammed open, and a tall, sharply dressed man jumped down. Mara, he barked. Her breath caught. Stay here, Aaron told her, moving protectively toward the man. You lost? The stranger sneered. I'm looking for my fiancé, he snapped. And you're standing in my way, Aaron blinked. She doesn't want to go back. With you. The man laughed, bitter and cold. You think she belongs here in a wagon full of crying brats and rotting food? Aaron clenched his fists. The baby stirred in the back. Mara rose slowly, holding Jasper to her chest, her voice shaking but strong. I don't belong to anyone. Aaron stood tall in front of the sleek black truck, his shirt damp with sweat and resolve. The man who had stepped out Calder Reed was clearly from another world. Polished boots, a clean designer coat, and the entitled air of someone who'd never heard the word no. Mara, get in the truck, Calder ordered, pointing like she was furniture. But she didn't move. She clutched Jasper to her chest, her green dress fluttering in the morning breeze. No, she said, her voice flat. Calder's eyes narrowed. We're getting married, remember? You don't just disappear and play nursemaid to some drifters crying twins. Aaron stepped closer. Don't talk to her like that, he said firmly. Calder's eyes flicked to him, amused. Oh, so the beggar has opinions? He scoffed. Aaron didn't flinch. She's not yours anymore, and she's not leaving unless she wants to. The air thickened. Even the baby sensed it. Mara stepped down from the wagon slowly, still holding Jasper in one arm and keeping a protective hand on Lily, who stirred beside her. Calder, I ran because I was suffocating. Not just from your control, but from how invisible I became. He laughed bitterly. Invisible? I gave you everything: money, a future, my name. You gave me a cage with velvet walls, she said. And you only loved me when I obeyed. Calder's jaw tightened. You think this, he waved a hand toward the wagon, is freedom? Mara didn't hesitate. It's the first time I've breathed in months. Calder reached for her wrist, but Aaron moved faster. He grabbed a broken wooden shaft from the side of the wagon and held it like a bat. Back away, he growled. Calder paused, stunned that someone so poor would dare threaten him. You're making a mistake, Calder hissed. But Mara wasn't afraid anymore. No, I made a mistake staying silent for so long. The babies began to cry. Mara turned, set Jasper gently in the wagon beside his sister, and kissed both of them on their tiny foreheads. Then she stood between Aaron and Calder, her shoulders square. I don't love you, she said plainly. I don't want your money, your ring, or your shadow. You were never kind. You were just careful with cruelty. Calder's face twisted. I should drag you back and show you how little you matter. Aaron took a step forward, lifting the wooden shaft slightly. Try, he said quietly. And I'll make sure you leave here limping. The two men stared each other down. Calder's eyes darted toward the twins, then back at Mara. You really going to play mother to another woman's kids? Mara smiled gently. These babies cried into my arms and found peace. That's more than I ever had with you. Her voice didn't rise, but it struck harder than any blow. For a moment, Calder said nothing. Then, with a disgusted snort, he turned on his heel. You're both insane, he muttered. Starving, weak and doomed. He climbed back into his truck. When you're desperate again, don't come knocking. The engine roared, tires spat gravel, and the black vehicle vanished into the dust. Aaron dropped the wooden shaft and let out a shaky breath. Mara didn't move. She stared at the empty road for a long time. He's gone, Aaron finally said. He'll be back, she replied softly, when he needs to feel powerful again. But next time, I'll be ready. She looked at Aaron then, really looked at him, not just as the man who owned the wagon, but the one who stood up when no one else had. Thank you, she said. He shook his head. You didn't need saving, he said gently. You just needed someone not to look away. They sat in silence for a while, letting the dust settle and the morning calm return. The twins had fallen. Asleep again, huddled together under a faded blue blanket. Aaron leaned against the wagon, rubbing the back of his neck. I don't know what I'm doing, he admitted. I don't have a plan. I don't even have diapers. Mara smiled. You have love. And I have formula, a little experience. And nowhere else to go. He turned to her, surprised. You want to stay? She nodded slowly. If you'll let me. For the first time in weeks, Aaron felt something other than fear in his chest. I'd like that, he said. The wagon's small, but I could build a second one. Maybe even make it a home. She looked down at the babies, then back up. Let's try, just for today. Then we'll see what tomorrow brings. And for both of them, that was enough for now.